See the facts when there was still time to end our addiction, fossil fuel addiction, dependence on future existence, inventions. Activate, advocate, organize, stand up and join the resistance. There will be reckoning. Mother Earth is letting go. There's no other choice. Hear our children's voice. Earth's on fire, 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 Earth's on fire, truth is in the science, no more political defiance. Fire, fire, Earth's on fire, 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 Earth's on fire, truth is in the science, no more political defiance. Storms and rising seas, drought, famines, floods could bring us to our knees. Warning, warning, sound the alarm, take action for humanity. Stop this insanity, get clarity, carbon neutrality. There will be reckoning. Mother Earth is letting go. There's no other choice. Hear our children's voice. Fire, fire, Earth's on fire. Fire, fire, Earth's on fire. Truth is in the science. No more political defiance. Fire, fire, Earth's on fire. Fire, fire, Earth's on fire. Truth is in the science. No more political defiance. got a big heart, I could let you in. I'm sitting on top of the world, on top of the world. On top of the world. I'm sitting on top of the world, on top of the world. On top of the world. People ask me what my secret is, I just smile and say, live for today. I'm sitting on top of the world, on top of the sun came up and I gotta say, see it in a whole new way. I'm sitting on top of the world, on top of the world. Yeah. On top of the world. Yeah. I'm sitting on top of the world, on top of the world. Yeah. On top of the world. Yeah. I'm sitting on top of the world, on top of the world. People ask me what my secret is. On top of the world. I'm sitting on top of the world, on top of the world. Ask me what my secret is. On top of the world. I'm sitting on top of the world, on top of the world. Yeah, I'm sitting on top of the world, on top of the world. Yeah. Yeah, I'm sitting on top of the world, on top of the world.
Hello world, wake me up to another good morning, time to go. Got that smile upon my face, 'cause there's excitement in the chase, this I know. Yeah, I'm going for the ride and find myself, I am alive and I soar. Still I run towards the wind and let the challenge draw me in, 'cause I want more. Oh, we are all looking for adventure. 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 Oh, wake up heart and wake up mind, and see the world is yours to find. And with every passing day there's more, calling you out to explore. Get up and go. There is joy found in the race, and I feel it in the place where I'm free. And I simply can't deny it, that I feel adventure calling out to me. Yeah, we are all looking for adventure. 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 We are all looking for And I'm living free, living free, living free, and I was meant to be. Living free, living free, living free, and I was meant to be. I'm living free, living free, living free, and I was meant to be free, meant to be free.
Good afternoon, Pinoy climate reality leaders and environment advocates. I am Danny Madriaga, Youth Coordinator for the Climate Reality Project Philippines, and I'm very happy to be back as your host for today's episode of Klimatotohanan entitled Can Art Help Save the Planet? Pinoy Artivists Stepping Up the Fight Against Climate Change. On behalf of Climate Reality Philippines, I would like to thank all of you for your continuous support for this webcast in its new time slot. Today is another special episode, not just because it's the month of love, not just because we are celebrating National Arts Month, but also because we have a very special co host for this episode. She is a fellow climate reality leader, a published poet, and the owner of the acclaimed bookstore Mount Cloud Bookshop located in Baguio City. Definitely on my bucket list. Currently, she serves as the project lead for the Institute for Climate and Sustainable Cities Agam Agenda, a platform for creative, transdisciplinary collaboration designed to grow and contribute to fluid networks of climate aware writers, artists, scientists, youth, and campaigners. And might I also add, she is the lead editor of Harvest Moon, Poems and Stories from the Edge of the Climate Crisis. So she's really the perfect host for this episode. I am very honored to be her co-host today. So ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, we have Miss Padmani Perez. Hi, Miss Padma.
Hi, Danny. Thank you for your kind introduction. And it's really cool to see you already have a copy of Harvest Moon. Thank you so much. Also, congratulations for describing Agam Agenda really well. It doesn't roll off the tongue so well when you talk about being a climate aware platform, etc., etc. So, thank you, Danny. And for me, it's my pleasure to be here. I always love working with Climate Reality and our community of Pinoy climate reality leaders all over the country. And of course, the topic for this episode is really dear to me. It's something that excites me immensely. And today we're going to talk about how we can harness the regenerative power of the humanities and art to communicate climate change, how it's affecting our communities, and what we need to do or what can we do to address the crisis. More than that, maybe it's not just a tool for communication. Maybe it can do more. And I'm excited to hear what our guests today have to say about that. As we highlight the role of art as a medium for environmental activism, we will spotlight the personal stories and lived experiences of Filipino artists who have dedicated their work to raising awareness and cultivating the discourse around the climate crisis. Naku, napakaswerte po natin. Tayo ay napaunlakan ngayong araw ng ating mga bigating guests. Meron din kaming mga mabigat na tanong para sa kanila. Pero we'll be introducing them in a while. Before that, Danny, you have a few reminders to share.
Yes, Bob, before everything else, I would like to remind our viewers on Facebook that we are giving away certificates of participation. Just comment your name and where you're watching from. Huwag niyo rin kalimutang sagutan ang feedback form na ilalagay namin mamaya sa comment section pagkatapos ng episode na ito. I hope you can stay with us until the end of the stream to know the details of our Klimatotohanan Challenge of the Week. Join this challenge to get a chance to win special prizes. Tong twister pala yung sentence na yun. I would also like to remind everyone that you can comment down your questions for our speakers. We will have an open forum later wherein our speakers will answer your questions. On that note, Padma, I think it's time that we introduce our guests for today's show. Kanina pa tayo excited. Who do we have first?
All right, Danny. Up first is A.G. Saño, a renowned and multi-awarded Filipino artist. I don't know if he needs an introduction. Actually, he's painted more than 900 murals in 16 countries depicting peace and the environment. Little background story. Once upon a time, AG had a mural in Mount Cloud Bookshop in our old location, and we were really sad to have to leave when we moved. Kung pwede lang sana namin gibain yung pader, dinala na namin yung mural na ginawa nila doon. And I believe that was with Dolphins Love Freedom. So anyway, more about AG. He represented the Philippines as a fellow for the U.S. State Department's International Visitors Leadership Program for emerging global leaders as part of the Arts for Social Change program, where 18 artists from 18 countries were brought together for a cultural exchange fellowship in the U.S. In March of 2010, he founded the group called Dolphins Love Freedom, a street art movement that attracted more than 200,000 volunteer painters from over 65 countries. And their work was to promote public murals for the benefit of the environment. And I wouldn't be surprised if many of our viewers today have seen those murals without really knowing the story behind them. Some of them are quite prominent. He is a pioneering member of the Climate Pilgrimage, a movement dedicated to walking thousands of kilometers across Asia Pacific and Europe to connect with communities to create dialogue and grassroots action. So, hindi lang pagpipinta, no? Pati yung paglalakad. It's part of AG's work. AG, hi! Thank you for making time to be with us today. In this introductory part of our webcast, meron kaming isang tanong, very brief question to start and to warm up. And that question is, can art save the planet? AG.
Yan, magandang hapon po sa inyong lahat. If there's anyone listening or watching from overseas, maybe good morning or good afternoon or good evening. Yan. First of all, I'd like to acknowledge nga nung nabanggit ni Pad na we painted sa Mount Cloud before. It was a really amazing experience to paint there with Baguio artists. Yan. And talking about painting and arts, that's really a heavy question. There are lots of answers to that. I can answer yes right away, and I can even answer no right away. If art can change the world, art has, in fact, changed the world. It has changed society. It has changed the course of human history. Marami sa atin siguro di at alam, there are a lot of freedoms that we enjoy now, not just as Filipinos, but as human beings because of art. And the best example I can always think of is yung child labor. Not a lot of us know that child labor used to be normal. But it came to a point when a visual artist thought that he could use his art to change the norm, which is si Louis Hine is a photojournalist, a visual artist, decided to do something about it. Na yung child labor sa panahon niya, like I said, was normal, was ordinary, but for him it was wrong. So he used his visuals. He uses visuals to let people know that there's something wrong about this, when we have to say that enough is enough. And it changed the world. And a lot of other movements were changed because of photography, of even paintings, even street art. And the movement of street art the past several decades, in fact, changed behaviors, has changed outlooks of people, and that became the parang catalyst or the spark for people to move. And that's why I also said no can be an answer, because it's not the art itself, but it's the action that is sparked to people's hearts that can change the world.
Beautiful and very insightful answer. Salamat, AG. And thank you for bringing that up regarding art and societal social transformation. Not to use your own words, but I read an interview that you gave before. You said, for as long as there are environmental issues that will need to be heard, I will still paint to create walls that speak, which is beautifully said. And like you said, it's not art. It's not art itself that changes the world, but people. But art plants those seeds. There's a seed of a story in every artwork, and those stories can change the world. So, maraming salamat, AG. We're excited to hear more from you later on. But for now, let me introduce our next guest. Our next guest is Bricx Martillo Dumas, who was born in Leyte, Philippines, influenced by surrealism and fauvism, Bricx uses a vibrant array of colors and intense strokes to create works of emotion. In 2016, he decided to take his talents to the academe to educate the younger generation after discovering his passion for teaching, while creating a documentary about the music of the Palawan indigenous people in Palawan. Currently, he works with traditional and digital media and devotes his life to educate and promote Filipino culture and identity. Recently, he won first place in the UN Climate Change Conference or COP26 art competition, Digital Art for Climate, with his work entitled Nexus. So very interesting and very timely or appropriate title. So magandang hapon, Bricx. We're so happy to have you with us today. Kindly say hi to our Facebook viewers, and just like AG, and just like AG, please share your thoughts on the question, can art save the planet?
Hi everyone, good afternoon. Sige, i-quote ko lang din yung kay Sir AG na yun nga, since nagturo ako, ito yung pinaka-diniin kong siguro topic nung nagtuturo ako na art can change the world, na throughout history naman ginagamit yung art para ayun to spread awareness, lalo na ngayon na sa sobrang dami ng problema, paano ba makakapag-spread ng awareness. Siguro mas mabilis makagets yung mga tao through visual. So ayun, napaka deep nung relationship ko with art, kasi ito yung pinaka easiest way to let people understand what's happening in our environment and our world.
Thank you, Bricx, for that response. Super interesting, no? Kasi some people will argue that art is inaccessible, pero I like the view that you take, or the stance that you take, that art makes the issues accessible to people. So thank you for that, Bricx. And now I'm going to go over to contemporary and experimental filmmaker and visual artist Marta Atienza. Hey Marta. Marta's practice explores installation and video as a way of documenting and questioning issues around the environment, community, and development. Her work is collaborative in nature. Marta works with people from different backgrounds. She often involves residents of Bantayan Island, where she and her family are from and where she is right now. In her work, the narratives of Bantayan's community members are intricately woven into issues like environmental change, displacement, cultural change, governance, and also socio-economic inequality, I should say. Since graduating with a bachelor's degree in fine arts from the Academy of Visual Arts and Design in the Netherlands, Marta has exhibited internationally at various art spaces, galleries, and video festivals, and public spaces as well. Hi, Marta. Thank you for joining us this afternoon. Please say hi to all our viewers. We might even have viewers in the Visayas. And then let us know what you think. Can art save the planet?
Well, I hope so. I mean, it's something I've been, I am an artist, and even though through my work you become many different people, I sound like I'm an activist, or I've been a seafarer. Now I'm a social community worker. And really, I think the problems, the issues we face, they're quite heavy. But I think, working with community and really working with people that are close to me, that I know, then it really feels like, there's a movement, and maybe, somehow as an artist, you can change, or maybe help in creating not just the dialogues, but maybe like collaborations between communities and their local government unit, or people that make the decisions, or policymakers, So yeah, I think I definitely think art is necessary in this conversation.
Thank you so much, Martha. Just to bounce off of what Padma said a while ago about how some argue that art is inaccessible. But I think your work really shows or highlights how art can be used as a tool as well. And of course, with your community work. So I'm definitely excited to hear more about that from you later on. And also what you said, sorry, sorry to ramble, but something that you said struck me. I remember another activist saying that at its root, activism is just being at its core, it's being active with your community. So just really caring and using the skills that you have to improve its current state is perhaps the best form of activism you could do. So again, thank you, Martha, and we'll definitely continue the conversation later. For now, let me introduce our next guest, someone who again does not need an introduction, but nonetheless, let me give it. He is none other than folk singer and composer, Mr. Noel Cabangon, a legend in his own right. Sir Noel is known for composing socially relevant songs. Who does not know Kanlungan or Tatsulok or Kahit Maputi na ang buhok ko? He made a name for himself in the local music scene in 1982, beginning in little-known folk houses and bars. In 1987, he co-formed the group Buklod together with Rene Boncocan and Rom Donggeto. They produced 3 albums, Bukid at Buhay, Tatsulok, and Sa Kandungan ng Kalikasan. The band wrote and performed songs about the environment, human rights, and politics. After the group disbanded, Noel went on to record 6 solo albums, perform solo at music bars and private events, compose songs for movies and for other artists, and entered the local theater industry as a musical director, as a composer, and as an actor. Noel is also a publishing author, having written the book Ang Bayan Ko at Lupa, Awit ng Diwa in 2005 and co-authored Ako'y Isang Mabuting Pilipino in 2012. Unfortunately, Sir Noel will be entering the show a little later today, but we'll reserve his introductory question for later on, and we'll definitely be hearing more from him in this episode. For now, let me turn you over again to Miss Padma. Over to you.
Thank you, Danny. So now we're moving on to the last but not the least member of our panel, theater director Dennis Gupa. Dennis obtained his PhD in Applied Theatre at the Theatre Department of the Faculty of Fine Arts, University of Victoria, Canada. His doctoral project centered on Philippine sea rituals, local knowledge, and indigenous practices of human sustenance in the context of climate change and colonial encounters. Lots of interesting relationships to unpack there. He was chosen as one of the 10 change makers, as one of the Philippines' 21 emerging leaders of Asia society in 2009. Through his theater projects on sustainable ecology, human-ocean relationships, and his studies on colonialism, Dennis has received grants from the Australian Agency through the World Bank's Development Program, the National Commission for Culture and the Arts, ASEAN Center for Biodiversity, International Rice Research Institute, the University of the Philippines, and the local government of Quezon Province. And I think that diverse array of grant-giving bodies speaks also to the very diverse and transdisciplinary work of Dennis. Dennis, magandang umaga. Thank you for waking up so early to be part of this. You're on the other side of the world and you're dressed for winter. It must be very cold. So let me ask you, do you think art can save the planet?
Oh, that is a very difficult question for the artist because we are asking a salvational obligation to redeem the wounded earth. I think it is better to focus our attention on shared responsibility in mobilizing social transformation. We can certainly deploy our imagination in creating an equitable world, not just for human beings, but among the non-human entities and those that we don't see but are existing. Once we find the truest meaning of our purpose, then we can better understand our responsibilities as human beings, and we can shift the question to how can we change ourselves so that we can inspire our communities and make the world better for all of us.
Thank you so much, Dennis. Beautifully said. I do agree that to change the world, we must also change what's flawed in ourselves. But those flaws aren't just cracks. You know, they could be the webs that lead us back to the beautiful planet that we could be proud to call home. But thank you for bringing that up. Humans also are not the only creatures on Earth. We're just one part of this very intricate web that you have so often talked about, and that we will touch on more again later. So now we are going to proceed to the discussion part of Klimatotohanan, to our conversations. But before that, allow me first to give a shout out to our viewers on Facebook. Aspiring Miss Universe to Merending from Cavite City. So, all right. First off, okay, one second. Let me scroll through our comments for these shout outs. Shout out po kay Crizel B. Kabakungan from Cavite, Aneka De Leon tuning in from QC, Jan Ray M. Ortega from Davao, Eden Villote from Kidapawan, Nicole Gapas from Vera Catanduanes, and Gracia Lynn R. Villa from Capiz. Wow, so we have a viewership from all over the islands. No, thank you, thank you. Maraming salamat po sa pakikinig at pag-tune in ngayon. Ayan, so our conversations today, getting into them, will focus on how our guests, these incredibly talented artists, are helping push the climate conversation forward and bringing them closer to the people. We all know that getting humans to grasp the enormity of the climate crisis has always been a challenge for scientists. However, artists have the ability to turn climate science into powerful and thought-provoking stories and messages that could cut through the noise and evoke emotions for climate action. Right, Ms. Padma?
Correct, Danny. And today we really want to learn and be inspired by the experiences and work of our guests on creativity, art, and the climate crisis. That nexus, as Bricx might say. Up first is AG. AG, I'm so excited to delve deeper into your creative processes as a muralist, a photographer, and an environmental activist. Before anything else, I think our viewers would really like to know, where did your passion for art come from? When did it start?
Started a long time ago. My father was the first artist that I met. Na I was I think 4 or 5 years old when he made me his assistant artist. He loved painting when he was younger, but then he had to stop because of the need to work. Yeah, I say we came from a poor family. He had to work really early. He almost didn't graduate in college, and then my mother pushed him to finish. So after that, I remember I was in the 4th grade, and I had a seatmate who was really good in drawing, and it was my seatmate who inspired me to draw. So he taught me how to do my first strokes, and then I joined the art club that same year, and I ended up getting the art club award at the end of the year. So my mom was really happy. Sabi niya, sige, I'll find a workshop for you. Tama-tama, it was summertime. Then I met my very first mentor, si Fernando Sena. And he inspired me to basically transform my life into a way of life na puro art to nasa isip ko. So I was mentored by Fernando Sena for 11 straight years. Now even pag may pasok, pag summer, like 11 straight years na doon ako sa wing ni Mr. Sena. Then finally I graduated college and I had to stop painting na. Yan. But then nag-spark ulit yung art journey ko when I started painting murals, and I found an absolute form of freedom into pag nagpe-paint ako ng murals, and sobrang lalaki ng scale, and hindi na ako parang magko-conform sa mga usual na art exercises sa workshops. And I found it na ano yung mural pala can talk to people, no, can speak about important messages or even mga petty ideas. And I started learning about street art, the movement ng street art globally, how it started, how it got to the Philippines, how it blossomed into what it is now. And it's not just a way to speak, but also to parang call for action. Since I mean, street art by default can be seen by the millions, and especially now sa internet, madali na siyang pakalatin lalo, no? So before you can paint a small wall in EDSA, along EDSA, and you'll get 2.5 million hits every day. I mean, literally seen by pairs, 2.5 million pairs of eyes.
Right.
Pero ngayon, if you post it on the internet, it could multiply by by
Even
1,000 times,
yeah.
1 million times pa, no?
So on
Can
that
be seen by
journey,
billions of people.
right? On that journey, AG, and I think you do have a mural on EDSA, right? But along that journey, at what point did you begin channeling that creativity and that freedom that you experienced painting murals into environmental issues and climate issues?
Yes, exactly, almost exactly 12 years ago. So 2010, I'm part of a group called balena.org. So we do whale research. We conduct whale research across the Philippines, especially yung mga hotspot ng mga big whales, large whales. We monitor the migration. We conduct photo identifications. So in 2010, we had this dati CD pa, no? So ipadala yung girlfriend ko ng CD while we were in the field sa Babuyan Islands. It's a video documentary of dolphin slaughters in Taiji, Japan. No? The documentary film was entitled The Cove. The Cove actually garnered a lot of attention globally and awards. No? We saw the film, and then I was in grief. No? Parang hindi ko matanggap na we've been spending a lot of effort and basically our lives, no, to put in work for dolphin and whale conservation, and then we see this video, this documentary that shows that they're being slaughtered by the thousands every single year. So as an artist, parang naging instinct ko was to paint a wall, right? Very well immediately. So the next morning, nagpinta kami dun sa Babuyan Islands. And then I thought maybe this is a way to tell people, no? Kasi may challenge sa end ng film na this thing will continue, this thing will persist if we do not do anything about it. So I thought as an artist, maybe I can do something. So I posted on Facebook, sabi ko, we will paint one dolphin for every dolphin that they capture. That's so 1:1. And that's why we ended up painting thousands and thousands of dolphins, because they capture and kill dolphins by the thousands. No? And that sparked this movement of using street art to convey the message about conservation. And then nagsanga-sanga na siya. Nagkaroon ng sunod-sunod na disasters, weather-related na disasters. And of course, we know that. Simula sa Ondoy, tuloy. And I was there every single time to do relief work, so psychosocial work. And then Yolanda came 2013. I was there before, during, and after. So I suffered what most of Bricx's kababayan suffered. No? I was there, and I lost 3 loved ones there. And right at the same time, my brother was part of the Philippine delegation to the COP, and it was happening right that very week when Yolanda happened. And after that episode in our lives, we decided to do something about it and just go on the ground and spread the message further and faster the way we can. And then we founded this movement to walk thousands of miles, like literally walk thousands of miles. And as we walk through communities around Europe and Asia Pacific, every time we get the chance, we paint murals, and we conduct the murals the way we conducted them during the dolphin murals. So we gathered like hundreds and even thousands of participants, volunteers from different communities across Europe and Asia Pacific, and that's and it is still ongoing, still continuing. This fight will not end, no? Not end soon. but yung contributing as an artist to the solutions, we just give time the way we can, yung pagkakataon. If it's there, then we do it. If it's not there, we try to make opportunities, to create opportunities, not just for ourselves, but for communities who want to contribute.
Yeah. Those are super exciting examples that you shared, and I think many of us here and many of our viewers will remember your brother Yeb's speech, very emotional speech that he gave at that COP when he was not aware of whether you were all right, and that's very strong in our memories. So those examples that you shared on the dolphins and the mural you painted the very next day in the Babuyan Islands, what were some of the outcomes that you experienced from doing that work? First the dolphins and then the walk across Asia Pacific and Europe. While you were painting the murals and interacting with people, what was the impact that you experienced?
The first result, or first positive result, is that we get the chance to talk to people. We get the time. We find the time to talk to people, because once you attract people to help you out, or to help out in the painting, you get the chance to talk to them, and parang captured audience yan. They're there to volunteer their time, and to volunteer their ears, no? And that way you get to parang sort of quote unquote recruit allies, na to stand together in this fight, no? But I think the best thing na naging result after more than a decade of doing this is that years after painting with some people, especially young people, I would find out that some of them actually pursued marine biology because of the exposure that they got in that encounter. Then sobrang nakataba ng puso nun. Then even fine arts, you meet, or like this person, this kid would contact me and tell me, Sir AG, I painted with you when I was in grade 6. Now graduate na po ako ng fine arts. Ang daming long-term results na na nag-fruit, nag-bear fruit dun sa mga small seeds na pinlant mo as an art mentor, and they were able to translate that sort of spark or inspiration into something really concrete, and something that could last a long time, and something that they can use as fuel for this fight, and being where they are now, as some of them are scientists now who are basically pursuing efforts for the environment. I think that's the best result of this journey. But of course, there are other results, like policies are crafted because of the engagements, especially sa local level. So those are concrete results na nakuha natin sa journey na to.
Thank you, AG. And I think you already partially answered the next question, which was how can art make a difference for the climate? And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's like your response emphasizes the importance of the personal level of engagement. That's one. What you said about planting seeds with young people when you're painting with them, and they go on to remain involved. But it's also interesting what you said about how that kind of engagement can have an impact on policy. Kasi kadalasan our way of thinking is arts happen in a different world from policy making, and policy making is far off from our everyday world. So before we move on, could you say a little more about that, about how engagement in the art can help shape policy?
Right, kasi policymakers are also humans. No? They're also entities with emotion, and they're not much different, no, than any of us, no, than a little kid, like let's say a 10-year-old kid who wants to paint. And in fact, there are countless politicians, policymakers who have joined, no, painting, from a former vice president, several senators, several congressmen, and lots of local government officials. And I never looked at that as a way for them to to politics, to put politics in the narrative. But that, for me, their participation means they also want to learn about the advocacy, and they wanted to take part in the advocacy. I always give them the benefit of the doubt. And nakakatuwa pag when I say na nagta-translate, it means they also get inspired to do something, and because they have a platform for policy change, then they use that platform for this. And art kasi is a form of education, no? And communication, and a lot of the science of climate change can't be communicated that easily by the scientists. And it's the role of the creatives to make it parang digestible for more people to understand, diba? And policymakers, hindi porke naka-position sila sa let's say sa local government or even national government, means na alam na nila lahat. They're also learning, especially sa issue of climate change. Just like us here, we continue to learn. We strive to learn more about the science, and science develops every single minute, di ba? Every single day may bago dyan, pwedeng mabago, may bagong information. And they also want to be students of this narrative, of this fight. So having them take part in the community mural sessions means they're part of the captive audience that I was talking about earlier. So parang level lahat yan, whether you're a pedicab driver na nakipaint, or a policeman, or a congressman, a vice president, a senator, that kayo students of this movement, students of conservation, and that's how we how we change them.
Ganda. Thank you, AG. Again, yung na-emphasize para sa akin in what you said is how we need to work with our hands. We need to move. We use our bodies to create art. And when you involve people in a mural, then their bodies join that work, diba? And it does something in the brain. So,
That's
and
true.
maganda rin it's nice to be reminded that our policymakers are also human, and art has a way of speaking to humans across a wide spectrum, as you said. So thank you for sharing all of that, and about how your work has inspired so many people, and you've really been a pillar for climate activism. So I'm sure the people listening today are really happy to hear more from you on your work. We hope you can stay for the open forum later, AG. And to our viewers, reminder, pwede kayong mag-type ng mga tanong nyo in the comment section below, and we'll ask AG and our other guests to answer them a little later in the program. So thanks again, AG. And Danny, over to you. Who do we have next?
All right. Thanks, Miss Padma. And thank you, Dolphin Man / Whale Boy / AG. I remember, ako nadaanan ko rin yung dolphin mural sa ceiling po ng Paseo de Rojas in Makati. And at the time, hindi pa ako, uncultured swine ako sobra. So hindi ko alam na si AG pala gumawa nun. But I remember, I was with my friends and we all took photos, and I think what I would just like to impart the feeling walking through that is we're not always around nature, but in that moment, even in the busy streets of Makati, there was a feeling of peace and connection, and we have the power to shape our spaces, but our spaces also shape us. So thank you, AG, for all of your murals and all of the beautiful spaces that you've created across the country. So for now, in our next segment, let's move on to our next speaker, Bricx. So Bricx will talk about his recent success during the 26th Conference of the Parties to the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, a mouthful, COP26 for short. It is the summit where nations negotiate plans to arrest the climate crisis. Whether they've done so successfully is another matter. but on their digital art for climate competition, which has borne fruit to a lot of amazing work, such as Bricx. Out of the 208 that were submitted, Brix's work emerged on top and was the only Southeast Asian work among the finalists. So Bricx, we would love to know as well, could you tell us more about your award-winning work and the motivation or your intention when you submitted Nexus?
Okay, sige. Mag-share screen ako. Yan.
Nga, para makita namin yung
Oo.
sobrang solid nga ng piece.
Ito ba yun? Share. Ayan, nakikita nyo ba?
Thank you. Yes, we can see your screen.
Okay, so mag-start ako dito kasi dito nag-start yung parang climate change, climate action journey ko. Kasi ito ay photo taken last 2013 nung Yolanda, around second week ata aftermath na to eh. So may isang bata dyan na nakaupo sa poste. Ay, bago pala lahat, maupay nakulupay yung atanan. So, ayun. Etong batang to, nilapitan ko siya after ko siyang i-take ng photo. Tapos tinanong ko, ba't siya nakatingin doon? In Waray, kaya ano ka nakakita dito? So, nung sagot ng bata, itatagalog ko na lang. Doon kasi namatay yung mga kapatid ko. Tsaka pamilya ko. So, by that time, may parang change of heart ako na, oo nga, nandito lang ako nung fourth day after Yolanda, pero paano yung mga nandun actually? So, from there, doon nag-start yung parang spark na, oo nga, na we have something to do sa nangyayari ngayon sa environment natin. So, sige, yun lang. Tapos, forward ako sa next slide. So, may joke akong onte. So, hindi mo spell ang earth pag walang art. Wala lang. Okay. Next ay... Okay, next ay ito na yung artwork ko. So, my artwork is entitled Nexus. So, ito yung isa kong problem pag gumagawa ng artwork ay maghahanap ako ng title. So, after ko ma-finish yung artwork, nag-search ako ng different words. Tapos, nakita ko yung Nexus. Nexus means link. So, nung ginagawa ko yung artwork kasi, parang nag-isip ako ng tatamang title doon. So, Nexus means a link. So, yung artwork ko ay parang nagli-link yung daily life choices natin sa nangyayari sa environment. So, kung nakikita nyo ay picture siya ng isang guy or tao, tas may nagdi-drink siya with the plastic. Tapos kung napansin nyo rin ay yung dulo ng plastic ay fishtail kasi gusto ko lang incorporate yung plastic pollution sa ating ocean waters. So yun, another din ay ano yung main inspiration ko sa artwork. So syempre meron akong 4 key points. Yung first ay nung punta ako sa Mindanao, tapos may nakita akong water dispenser na piso, tapos may plastic siya nakasama. So if ever nasa Mindanao kayo, alam kong meron siya eh. So ayun, magdadrop ka lang ng piso or di ko sure kung 5, tapos water dispenser siya, tapos makakainom ka doon ng water. So after doon, tapon na lang yung plastic tapos yung straw. And then second key point ay same din kay Sir AG, ang galing naman, na may napanood akong documentary din, pero eto naman ay Before the Flood ni Leonardo DiCaprio. So, ang kwento ay the world is ending nga if di natin i-take care by 2050 ayon sa researchers. So, yun, we need to act now. Tapos third ay yun nga yung daily life choices natin na sa araw-araw nating ginagawa, nakalink siya sa nangyayari. May something na nangyayari outside of this. So, tapos yung fourth ay during this time na ginagawa ko yung art piece ay yung pamangkin ko, si Rauf. Hi Rauf, kung nanonood ka. Ayun, gumagawa rin kasi sila nung tawag nun, ng class report for climate action or climate change din. So, tinanong ko siya, interview ko siya ng onte. So, ayun. Ito yung pinaka-important sa atin kasi from our generation, pwede nating i-pass sa next generation na we have something to do para makita nung next generation, siguro mga pamangkin na ng pamangkin ko, na ang ganda ng mundo natin. So, iyon.
Thanks for sharing all of that Bricx, no? And I remember just jumping off of something you mentioned earlier regarding Yolanda tsaka yung bata na nakaupo doon. Parang may nasabi kasi sa isang interview before, nabasa ko lang, na parang yung na-appreciate mo kasi yung environment na yun bago mo makita yung devastation na nangyari doon. So parang nakita mo yung kagandahan, and then after everything, pagkatapos dumaan ng bagyo, nakita mo yung pinaglalaroan mo dati, kung saan ka nakatira dati, parang yun na yung naging aftermath. And it's just so tragic kasi yung Yolanda was how many COPs ago? Tapos Nexus is COP26, and since Yolanda we've had, Ulysses, Raleigh, and most recently Odette. So doon tayo dati, dito pa rin tayo ngayon. So thank you for highlighting that as well in your piece, yung plastic pollution, kasi dito sa Pinas parang medyo old topic na siya, pero wala pa rin tayong plastic ban or plastic regulation talaga. So until now, our oceans are still suffering from plastic pollution. Nakaka-contribute na rin siya to flooding, etc. So thank you for it. It's also linked to the climate crisis, since plastic ang last last lifeline ng fossil fuels. So thank you so much for incorporating that nexus talaga, no intersection nung everything itong artwork mo. I'm also interested in the style of all of your artwork. So for uncultured swine like me, you discuss more on nabanggit kanina yung style mo is on surrealism and fauvism. So could you tell us a little bit more about that?
Okay, ginamit ko lang yung pakuwari cool pero joke lang. So ayun,
Big words.
fauvism kasi parang tawag nun, gumagamit ng bright colors. Tapos sa surrealism naman ay medyo dreamy, or yun nga, surrealist. Minsan kasi yung mga pieces ko, nakuha ko lang to sa mga tuboli sa Mindanao, na yung mga dream weavers. So ako minsan kasi pag nagdi-dream ako, gusto ko siyang i-paint kinabukasan or i-draw siya kinabukasan. So yun. Dahil nabanggit mo yung bahay ko lang, so eto, share ko lang din yung nangyari din sa bahay namin nung kabataan. So yan yung day 4 nung Yolanda, ay aftermath. So sige, wala, commercial lang. Pero balik na ako sa art style. So art style, dito ako nahirapan kasi if ever isa kang artist ngayon ay mahirap hanapin yung sarili mo. So ako, nakilala ko lang yung sarili ko siguro mga 2016 or 18. Pero yun, since elementary kasi, hindi naman talaga ako mahilig gumawa ng artwork. Pero yun nga, yung the typical nag-notebook, sa mga books. Tapos eventually, nag-take ako ng fine arts sa college dahil kinopya ko lang yung klase ko. Tapos eventually, natuwa lang naman. So yan, to share lang ay, eto ay oil paint nung college, tapos photography. So bago ako dumating na mag-major talaga sa illustrations, ay pinagmimix ko yung dalawa. So ang hirap nga sa sarili mo na hindi mo kilala yung sarili mo. So eventually, nung 2018, nag-decide ako kung ano talaga ang gagawin ko sa buhay. So by 2018, gumagawa na ako ng mga digital pieces. So backstory, noong 2018 din yung trip ko sa Mindanao, pumunta ako sa isang place sa, alam ko sure ako sa ano to gitna ng, ay Buda yung tawag, or gitna ng Bukidnon tsaka Davao. So there, nag-sketch ako, tapos yun nga, inisip ko sa sarili ko na ano yung gusto ko na nakikita ko sa artwork ko. So siguro pag hinanap mo yung art style mo, makikita mo siya pag ginagawa mo siya paulit-ulit, tapos masaya ka sa outcome. So there, yun nga, nahilig ako sa pencil works and sa colors. Tapos syempre, dahil mas deeper nga yung relationship with nature, ay kung wala yung nature, hindi ko makikilala yung sarili ko. Taray drama. So yun. So there, same week nung nasa Mindanao ako, pumunta ako sa Philippine Eagle Sanctuary, or tama ba? Nung right after nakita ko yung magnificent creature na yun, pag uwi ko galing Mindanao, I think 5 days after, ginawa ko agad yung sketch na to. Tapos nung pagdating ng pandemic, trinay ko siyang print tapos is-sell as prints under sa shelter fund. So dito na magkakaroon tayo ng how masasagot natin yung question na can artists save our earth ay yun nga dahil nung binibenta ko tong prints tapos yung percentage ay dinodonate ko dun sa Philippine Eagle Fund. Ay tama ba? Philippine
Eagle Center.
Eagle Center. So yun. So, another thing lang sa art style. So yun, since mahilig ako sa line art, mahilig ako sa colors, mahilig ako sa dreamy, minerge ko silang lahat. Tapos, ayun, nagulat na lang ako na yung ibang tao natutuwa na lang sa gawa ko. So, hindi lang na lang ako natutuwa. So, tawag nun, di inaccept ko na lang na, sige, ito na yung art style ko. So, yun. Yun lang. Eto naman, etong art piece na to ay ginagawa ko ay mga Visayan hornbills. So may nililigawan pa akong org if ever hindi pa nag-reply kasi sa email. Pero siguro pag binenta ko sila, yung percentage ng sales ay mapupunta sa kanila. So ayun.
Ayan, solid. Thanks, Bricx. First of all, gusto ko lang i-emphasize yung sinabi mo kanina na medyo solid kasi napapanaginipan mo yung inspiration for your artwork. So sana all may ganun kind of inspiration. Another thing that interested me was you mentioned something about yung weaving or woven artwork ng mga tibuli ba yung ano na up mo kanina. Ayun. So I think you also have some parang work or experience or art na related to these Philippine textiles or fashion ba yun? So could you sort of tell us a little bit more about it? Na-curious lang ako kasi na-mention mo.
So yun, actually hindi pa ako nakapunta dun sa South Cotabato pero syempre after ng pandemic, tatry ko talaga. So sa Philippine textiles naman, nafa-fascinate kasi ako sa how intricate yung mga details. So tinatry ko siyang i-apply sa artworks ko through yung line work. Pero yun nga, since hindi ko kayang gumawa ng masyadong malinis, tinatry ko na lang yung parang yung sa brush strokes ko ay parang nagwi-weave sila ng something. Pero yun, nililink ko lang naman talaga dun ay yung dreams. So, nasagot ko ba yung tanong?
Nasagot naman. Thank you. Ayun nga, yung just going back to your artwork incorporating both Filipino culture and identity. So, kahit sa strokes mo or sa brushwork mo na nako-connect yun. So, naging nexus din. Ayun. And another thing that struck me with what you said is yung hindi lang ikaw yung napapasay ng artwork mo. Although parang it was a long process as well, no, to finally realize kung ano yung style mo. Pero marami na yung napapasaya na ibang tao. So, and also to link back to what you last shared on perhaps art saving the planet or helping change the world. What do you think? Why should artists advocate for climate action in particular when it comes to change?
Okay, so eto yung last slide ko. So our world, ready, joke lang. So yun, our world is dying. So let's do our part to save it. Medyo mabigat siya. So yun nga, kailangan na collaborative effort siya kasi isa lang naman ang earth natin. Ay isa lang naman yung tirahan natin. Tapos may nakita kong meme, share ko lang. But daw yung ibang scientist, ay tawag nun, but yung ibang tao nagbabalak magplant ng tree sa Mars, dito nga sa Earth, di naman nagpa-plant ng tree. So yan, nakita ko lang sa Facebook. So yun, let's do our part in saving it. So climate action now.
Absolutely. Thank you, Bricx, and thank you for that call to action. Sobrang echo ko lang yung medyo trigger point yun for me. Yung ayun nga, may plano pang umalis from hindi muna yung resources, sana nakafocus na lang muna siya sa problems dito. So thank you again for your calls to action, for all of the stories and experiences and insights that you've shared. And also, of course, for not just bringing honor to the country through Nexus, but also for being the voice of the most vulnerable in COP26, which definitely needs more inclusion and representation from countries like ours. So we definitely look forward to seeing more of your creations, kung kahit saan man yung inspiration from nature, from dreams. And we'll talk to you again later, more about that later. So for now, let me turn over our audience to Miss Padma. Miss Padma, over to you.
All right. So from Mars, I mean from murals and digital art, we're now going to talk about film and the role it plays in the fight for environmental justice in the Philippines, but also what it can tell us about ourselves as a people, because sometimes film can also be a mirror. And we're lucky to have Marta Atienza with us today to talk about her films such as Gilubong ang aking pusod sa dagat. Marta, please correct me if I don't say it right. Anita 1 and 2 are islands, which I had the great opportunity to see. And Panangatan. Did I say that right also, Marta?
Yes, Panangatan. It's the
Great.
name of the island.
So maybe you want to focus on one of these films and tell us a little bit about the
Yeah, I actually I have, so I sent you guys the,
Should we
my
play that
presentation,
now?
but I'm gonna try doing it myself because I'm not very good with presentations, and I just put a bunch of pictures. The best way for me to, okay, so sorry, I'll share now, no?
Yep.
Okay, just a minute. Just let me know if you can see my screen. Okay, wait. There
Yes.
you go. So yeah, I mean, I have so much to say, and I only have 15 minutes. I was having such a hard time to, anyways, I'm gonna start with Gilobong because it was really the first project that I got to really focus on and come back here to Bantayan and work on this. And it's actually, I put 2010 to 2012 and to present because I feel like this project just never stopped and it's very connected to what I'm doing now. And so if I'm going to answer the questions, I think they'll just come up when I'm sharing like the process of this work. And, I think I work a lot with young people, and I think it's good to kind of just see how simple things are. It's, when working in the Philippines or here for me on Bantayan Island, it's really hard to not talk about environmental issues. I'm 40 years old now, and I've seen the coastal areas change. I've seen coastlines disappear. Marine life is completely, it's so destroyed here. Fisher folks are having a hard time because they have hardly any catch anymore. So it's really the things I focus on, and I mainly work with people I know, mostly, my family, friends, neighbors. My collaborators have always been my brothers, my family, my mom. Yeah, so I'll just start sharing, and then I can just like take breaks in between. But yeah, so this project, in English, My Navel is Buried in the Sea. Yeah, my father is a sea captain, and so I went on ships. This was from Singapore, Thailand, and Malaysia. I was really interested. You know how I started filming guys on ship from Bantayan Island that I knew, because I really wanted to understand my father as well, because he was a sea captain. That's how he met my Dutch mom. So that's me there with a bunch of guys and the nude poster. Um, yeah, so we went to, this is in Thailand, in Malaysia. That's my cousin George. Um, and it just started out documenting and understanding, what the guys were, how they were seeing these new places and how they were also communicating it back home. This has changed a lot now with internet and Facebook, but then people weren't like sharing things on Facebook yet. But when I returned to Bantayan, I realized that I should also really film the guys that are here and the local fishermen, and where these the communities that these international fisher folks are, these guys are from, that are working on the international vessels. Like, anyways, so this is the compressor diver, that's INSIC, and on the right is an oiler on an international vessel. This is Edwin. So I mainly filmed compressor divers, because in our area here, it's mostly compressor diving actually. And it's very dangerous, and it's a very desperate way of fishing. It's basically desperate because so much has been damaged already. Also because of the increase in temperatures of the sea and the destruction to marine life, but also human factor, illegal fishing, commercial fishing, corruption. So yeah, so I documented, but it really became a collaboration, you know. It was about filming together, teaching. The guys really wanted to film. I also couldn't dive that deep, you know, so they were bringing my cameras, and they would themselves wanted to film what they were doing underwater. And it just grew organically, where I thought, what am I going to do with all of this footage? You know, I went on the batil. This is the last batil from Bantayan to Guimaras. It doesn't exist anymore. I tried to get on as many different boats and vessels and fishing as I could, and accumulated so many hard drives of material. And so I'll just wait for this. So it kind of started very simple, where just bringing the laptop and the footages to the guys' houses and show their families, their wives. And all these dialogues came up, you know, about their work, about what's happening, about why there's no fish, how it was before. And so we became more organized. It became, for me, also a way to share, because I graduated in Holland. I was able to take advantage of my Dutch passport and my mom, you know, my mom's home. I went to an art school there, and it was also a chance for me to share how I work as an artist, and in sharing another way of using the camera and experiencing video. So I tried to make it a different experience, and it was also new for the audience to see themselves. I mean, now this again has changed, you know, everyone's on TikTok, but you know, when I started there was no internet, and there were no projectors. So it was such a great way for everyone to get together, and it was such a good excuse to just bond, because a lot of the time people talk about communities, but I feel like, what is community? And so much of that is being lost, you know, especially when you look at international seafarers, OFWs coming home, and there's such a dislocation in the community because they earn so much more. And so what we did was, because the dialogues became so official in a way, because it turned out everyone had so much to say. So, but one of the first things I had as an idea was to say, okay, I'll get the international seafarers and their families and the fisher folks and families together, because we're all neighbors and we know each other, we grew up together. And that was a big mistake, because the fishermen didn't even want to look the international seafarers in the eyes, you know, because they felt like they were uneducated, they're poor. So it became like a 2-year process of having the group separate, and just kind of using video, especially, as a way for people to open up about difficult issues. And of course, for fisher folks and for seafarers, there was a difference in the discussions. Mainly, really, the fisher folks really focusing on the damage to their environment, and to not fishing and not having that much, enough catch or enough to eat. And for the international seafarers, the problem really was being away from family, you know, but they both have dangerous work. And so, especially, you know, compressor diving, I remember there was 1 year that just in my area, 16 guys died from compressor diving. Anyways, so, you know, it all happened. I mean, it was quite heavy to have these really serious conversations, but it was really good. I didn't expect that to happen. And so here. And also what was interesting was that the women really were the ones grabbing the mics. So they finally had a chance to speak their mind and talk about, you know, what was happening to them, because they are responsible for the households, the children. And so the final installation day, we did 5 days of sharing. I made a 3-screen video installation. And so it was finally the time for everyone to get together. So international seafarers and their families, and fisher folks. And it was quite scary, because I think I have a picture here. The first lady that came up to grab the mic was a wife of a seafarer and said, you know, why do you guys stop talking to us? And you know, so anyways, it was a heated discussion, and we really covered those 5 days. We covered everything, including the environment, and it was very emotional. I think back in that time, I did not really know how to move forward from that, because we made it work, we did something together, and everybody was ready to do something, and I wasn't equipped to, you know, what now? So that's why it's been going on until now. It's a never-ending project because a lot of experimentation with the women. We did aquaponics, because we tried to work on livelihood projects or do things together so that they wouldn't be so dependent on men for income. And then Yolanda happened. So that was a whole nother experience for all of us. But yeah, this work has traveled, but it was really the test for me. Really, the question was, I really wanted to have the people that I filmed be the main audience, and also be the people who owned it, you know. And I'm now skipping very far away to 2017, because these same people, I'm still working with the same people, also on another project, but you know, they're my friends. So, but they do every year they do Atienza festival. And Atienza, I always film it because when I'm doing these heavy dialogues, we need like some entertainment and something to laugh at ourselves. So I always film it. But after a couple of years of filming it, I realized that, you know, the costumes and what's happening in the parade is saying a lot about about the Philippines today. You know, they after Yolanda, they had the Yolanda survivor, um, the drug war. So all the issues show up in the Atienza festival. And so I asked, this is actually the first time that I really asked my friends, like, I have an idea for something I want to film, but I want to do what you always do for the festival. I just want you to wear the costumes that you normally wear, but can we do it again underwater? So I'll just show you a part of it. Actually, I should have played the video while talking, but so I don't know if you can see this, but so these are my friends. They're really amazing. But so the idea is that in the video, there's all the layers of different issues that show up of our politics and our environment, the OFW, the drug war, you know, the violence. That's a police officer, the military. And then the state of our sea. But you can also see that the guys, I mean, for years, like we've been talking about the damage to our seas. And then we have this one day where we're going to film together underwater, and they're just stepping on the corals, you know? And then I decided not to do it again because that's the reality, you know? Like, and it was good to have that conversation with everyone after, you know, like we ourselves are contributing to this damage, you know? But this work went to Art Basel in Switzerland, and it won this Baloise Prize, it's called. But the thing I really learned from this project is that you win a prize and it how do you say, it's recognized and internationally. The problem is when you come back home, things are not changing, it's getting worse, you know?
Right.
So I wanted to show this work and then kind of show what I'm working on now.
Martha, just
So-
quickly, while you move on to what you're working on now, I remember this was screened at the Makati Stock Exchange.
Yes.
Yeah, and it was so
Crazy.
surreal. I didn't
Yeah.
know it was there. I just happened to be walking by. I was on an errand, and then I forgot how much time I spent sitting in front of our islands. It's really compelling, and I think that's part of it. Also points to what you're saying about how you've used film in your work. It's not just something that people sit back and watch and get entertained. there are questions that this film in particular forces us to ask or draws out of the watcher, but also it's so interesting to hear how film also became part of, or maybe even a catalyst for dialogue in the community, instead of just the usual idea of film. You buy a ticket and go see a movie, and then you talk about it and you're done with it. But here, the film really becomes part of the conversation.
Yeah, the goal always is that, you want people before they go to sleep or when they come home, that they still think about it or talk about it, or that it just continues, and the works continue that way too. So I wanted to show, I just got frustrated because, dialogues are happening, people want to do things. I was frustrated myself that, we did aquaponics, we did farming after Yolanda, like, but I, just felt frustrated. Nothing's really, I want action, but so anyways, I'm so proud to share that we have now like the Goodland Association. I'm the president, but before I was always working with communities saying, you need ownership, you guys need to, and I was pushing everyone, and now I've just said, you know what, I'm going to set up this association. And then I just have a few, sadly only guys, but there's 5 of us. But there's 2 electronics communication engineers. One came back because of the pandemic. He was working in the Middle East for 12 years. So lucky to have met him on Facebook. I just wanted to learn how to use an Arduino, and he reacted. Another guy is a youth leader, and he just graduated. I have a community organizer. I have a friend who worked with me for the other projects, and he was like a machine controller for a plastic factory in Laguna. So it was just like we just came together and had common ground of, really want like tangible solutions. So we are working now on we call it the Bantayan battery solution. Solution is a big word, but here I'll just move. Sorry, I was talking without. We also are doing a marine protected area that we're part of, working with youth, and working on actually land ownership and the Bantayan protected area as a whole. These are the guys, the dream team. So that's how it looks when we work. And this is members we have on Mambacayao Island. All big smiles, all of us. We've got a savings club, and this is kind of I give you an idea of like the coastal area where I'm from, with the compressor divers, how it looks like and how high the water is rising. And this is the problem we have with batteries. We of course we want to tackle the big issues, but after years of working in this, it doesn't work that way. You need to do small things with people around you. And so compressor diving actually shouldn't be happening, but it's happening. But they need alternative livelihood. I wish we had this, we could change it immediately, but we're just happy that our mayor now is working on alternative livelihood programs. So connected with the marine protected areas that they're helping setting up, which ours is one. They are including livelihood projects. So really lucky with this new mayor. So the compressor divers, when they dive, they use 2 batteries a day, dry cell batteries, and then they dump them in the ocean after. So that's about, if we count all the compressor divers, that's more than 500,000 a year dumped into our sea. That's just one problem that we're having. But since, I have these friends and they're like, we can find a solution to that. That's easy. We now have a lithium battery that's replacing the 2 batteries. And that lithium battery only needs to be replaced once every 2 years. So we are producing 300 now, and then going to be started to distribute them. So basically our beaches are covered in these batteries. And these are some of the compressor divers. So it was really interesting. It was really a collaboration. technical, but it's an excuse to have conversations, not just about this technical thing, but about the issue of why it shouldn't be in the sea, why are they diving, what could be an alternative. So it's been really exciting for me as an artist to kind of become like a tool. This
Right.
is Mambayao Island. It's beautiful, and that's the marine protected area. And there are all these young people, mostly girls, that are replanting and monitoring this area. And we just had news 2 weeks ago that we have an official ordinance, and our young people this group are now trained to be official fish wardens and also of the Tanyan
Amazing.
Strait. So it's so exciting. There they are with their certificates. And so we're trying to do the same with youth here in the watershed area. So it's really educational also. But these young people are so active. That really gives me energy to continue the work.
Agree.
Oh yeah. So we, of course, I'm always teaching to use the tools that I use, the video camera. I do collaboration. And so the young people we're working with, they made a film. It was a 2-day workshop, and they made a film in that 2-day workshop. And they're in the Cinema Reunion now in 2 weeks or
Oh,
3 weeks.
great.
Yeah, so really proud. It was about the marine protected area and calling for action, that they need the ordinance. And the film was shown to the mayor and to the leaders, and the ordinance is there now. So,
Amazing. So
yeah, it's so cool.
another example of art forms infiltrating the policy making world.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, like
yeah,
a very direct example. That's why I wanted this
yes,
as like the last slide.
great.
Um, yeah.
Thanks, Marta. And I think one thing we're all picking up from this is the importance of long-term engagement. I mean, the climate crisis is going to go on for years, and we're not going to fix it by jumping in and jumping out of the issue or moving from one thing to another. It really asks us to attend to what's around us, right? And the places we're in and the people we're with, and how are we going to work together when there's so many issues, all of which you somehow managed to touch on, like the inequality and the corruption, the pollution, the livelihood, and the destruction of the sea. I remember in some interviews I did after Yolanda, also in fishing communities, and they said, we're going to have to move. And it also seems like the fish moved also. They don't live here anymore. So that's the reality of the experience of all these climate related disasters, or at least now we know, thanks to the science, that they are climate related. So thanks again, Marta. My takeaways that I want to share with everyone who's listening is that deep involvement over time, and using film or art in this case for dialogue, to elicit dialogue and to get people together. But that's not the end, right? After that, you went through a whole process. It's that wasn't just about art. You became a community organizer, um, and it's inspiring, so inspiring for us. Thank you so much, Marta. Please stick around for the open forum.
Yeah.
I'm sure there'll be lots of questions for you
Yes,
later.
I'll be here. Thank you.
Thanks. Okay, before we move on to our next two guests, we have some reminders from the Climate Reality Project.
In line with the efforts of Climate Reality Philippines to elevate climate discourse and strengthen climate action across all regions in the Philippines, we are proud to launch the monthly columns of our regional coordinators. So our Luzon coordinator and also a popular Klimatotohanan host, Amy Oliveros, has shared with us the first installment of her column, Ang Kalusunan, which will serve as a platform to amplify the climate stories and adventures of climate reality leaders in Luzon. Sa Visayas naman po, nailabas na rin ang Klima Kabisayaan, ang monthly column ni Paula Bernasor, ang aming regional coordinator for Visayas. It will tackle pressing environmental issues in the region and what local CRLs are personally working on to make Visayan communities more resilient to the impacts of climate change. Meanwhile, Marisol Tuso, our Mindanao coordinator, also launched Hisgutan ng Klima sa Mindanao, which will be a space for more in-depth discussion on the challenges and opportunities for raising awareness and pushing for appropriate climate solutions for our most vulnerable communities in the region. Sa ating mga audience, gusto rin po namin i-share sa inyo ang mga initiatives at event ng ilan sa ating mga advocacy partners para sa Klimatotohanan. Sa ating mga viewers mula sa gitnang Luzon, narito ang ilang paalala mula sa CLTV 36 na isa sa ating mga official media partners.
Take full advantage of the power of TV and digital media when you advertise with CLTV. Through CLTV, you can now have your very own TV commercial for your business at a reasonable cost. And not only is your business authenticated by a reliable and trusted TV station, you can also reach our captive audience through CLTV's various digital media platforms at the same time. Contact us to avail of these exciting advertising opportunities.
Ayan. Inaanyayahan naman tayo ng Earth UST para sa kanilang Environmental Summit for Youth Action. This is a 2-day event organized by Earth UST, which is the premier environmental organization of one of the oldest universities in the Philippines, University of Santo Tomas. In this event, delegates and environmentalists from different universities and colleges will gather, and it will become an avenue for the youth to promote environmental awareness. Abangan po natin ang mga announcements mula sa Earth UST sa kanilang Facebook page.
We are also happy to share that the Climate Reality Project Philippines is supporting the Youth Climate Agenda 2022. This is being spearheaded by one of our Klimatotohanan partners and always partner in the youth cluster, Youth Advocates for Climate Action Philippines or YACAP. Alam naman natin na malapit na ang May 2022 national elections, and as the climate crisis continues to worsen, we need leaders who will take on the task of pushing for a sustainable, people and planet-centered Philippines for current and future generations. The Youth Climate Agenda 2022 serves as a challenge to our candidates this election season to put just and green leadership at the heart of their campaigns. Marami ring ganap ngayon sa inyo sa Agam Agenda, di ba po, Ms. Padma?
Hey, Dani, sobrang dami. Nababaliw na kami. But thank you. I want to invite everyone that's watching and also our guests here to join our When Is Now campaign for global creative climate action. And what this is we invite different poets and artists to respond to one another's seeds of creativity. So it gives agency to people to voice their concerns through poetry or through murals or through film or dance and performances and music on climate change. So this is organized by the Agam Agenda, the Climate Vulnerable Forum, and the Institute for Climate and Sustainable Cities. When Is Now is an open, evolving call for creative expression. All you need is an idea, a seed of an idea, a string of words, and willingness to share your experience and also acknowledge and respond to others' experiences of the climate crisis. So you're all invited to visit our website, whenisnow.org, where you can read some of the poems that have already been submitted from Africa, Asia, and Latin America. You can also respond to the poems, and I would really encourage you to do this. You can submit a new poem or a new work, but you can also respond by taking a line or two lines from a poem that really speaks to you and writing your own piece that includes those lines in your own work. And this becomes a way of connecting with somebody in another part of the world that's also experiencing the climate crisis and uplifting them through your own poetry and your own work. So you'll see some examples there. We have a poem from South Africa that was picked up by an artist in Yogyakarta in Indonesia, and the response was a mural that features lines of the poem. So you'll see several responses like that, and we're calling them poem seeds and poem sprouts. So everyone who wants to join is welcome to join in. All the details are on the website. I also want to invite everyone to order your copy of Harvest Moon Poems and Stories from the Edge of the Climate Crisis. It's an anthology of loves and lives and stories that thrive at the borders and edges of our worlds. The book features beautiful, beautiful black and white photos from award winning and emerging photographers, accompanied by poems, stories, lyrical essays from writers and artists across Africa, Asia, the Pacific, and Latin America. And this is something we can all be proud of because it's a Philippine led project. The idea was born and nurtured here in our hands. And also, I'm happy to say that in keeping with the vision of creating a beautiful yet accessible book for diverse readers, we at the Agam Agenda and the Institute for Climate and Sustainable Cities are offering the limited Philippine edition at a significantly marked down price of only 599 pesos. So the link for ordering should be showing up on your screens right now. That's Harvest Moon, and you can find out more on our website. Thanks for that time to plug our work.
Thank you so much, Miss Padma. I'm going to show it again. I received my copy of Harvest Moon last week. It arrived on my birthday, which was just the best present. And so I've only started reading it, but I can already tell that it's going to be one of my favorite books of all time. And especially during this critical decade for the climate, it's just essential reading for all humans. So I do encourage everyone, all of our viewers watching, to get their copies as well. But before we go ahead and place all of our orders, let's proceed first to the next segment of our show. So far, we have discussed how murals, digital art, and films have been used to widen the storytelling circle around the climate crisis and make room for more voices and forms of expression in climate discourse. Now, in this segment, we will focus on music, and we're very fortunate to have with us a legendary performer, composer, and dynamic activist of human rights and the environment in the country. So napakilala ko na po kayo kanina, Sir Noel, pero baka gusto niyo pong magpakilala via sample. Biro lang po. Ayun, very warm welcome po, Sir Noel Cabangon.
Magandang hapon, gabi na sa inyo.
Magandang gabi. So kanina po ayun po, Sir Noel. Ayan, okay. So kanina po nung nag-start yung show, we asked all of our guest speakers the titular question of the show, which is, can art help save the planet? And we would love to first hear your thoughts on that po.
Yeah. Sige. Maraming salamat. Thank you for inviting me. And hindi ako sanay sa mga ganito. No? But I I have to write down my short speech. And siguro mamaya magpaparinig lang ako ng ilan na samples ng music.
Yes
Can you
po,
hear me?
loud and clear.
Okay. Yun. So the question is, can art help save the planet? Hello, Pat pala. Yeah, definitely art can help save the planet. Art is being utilized to enlighten people, to inform them, to make them aware, alam na natin yun, and understand the state of the planet or the environment for that matter in a very creative way. Nakita natin kanina yung visuals ni Miss Atienza. With the power of the art to educate, it can send a message of reducing the carbon emission, carbon dioxide, the emission of carbon dioxide to the atmosphere, to prevent global warming and climate change. Art can help in informing people to and galvanize or inspire them to support or take actions that will encourage more people to force the governments and international institutions, unions or organizations, even corporations, to create policies and innovations that will stop the planet to further destruction or extinction. But of course, we don't want that to happen. Sorry, medyo nag-unstable yung internet ko. Maybe I want to share with you a song that I did with Dakila. It's various artists. I wrote this after Ondoy, and we did the music and the video. So siguro short lang. Pwede ba?
Yes po, please. Sir Noel, go lang po.
Share ko lang. Medyo hindi ako techie. Sige. Ano nga ba? Share sound. Yeah. Ay, may password pa. UN climate conference, the COP26 in Glasgow, di ba? Kailan lang? I don't know. And then ito yung ayaw tumunog. O, paano kaya?
Sir Noel, I think po if po kayo, parang ayun po, yung sa taas po, naka-enable, yung enable content. Baka po kailangan nating
Which one?
i-click. Here po sa taas po, nung slide, security warning yan. Dito po, enable content natin.
Okay,
Yan.
sir.
Para sa, yan.
Ganyan.
Sana po mag-play.
Saan mag-play? Ay, nakakaya.
Okay lang po. Tech team might be able to play siguro.
Anyway,
Ayun.
Ayan. This is English, various artists. After Ondoy, can you hear?
Bells are ringing, the clock is ticking,
The winds are howling,
the storm is coming,
the earth is
falling. Let us make haste before it's too late. No time to waste. Let us make haste before it's too late. No time to waste. The ice is breaking. The ground is rumbling. The seas are rising. The earth is heating. The climate's changing. Let us make haste before it's too late. No time to waste. Let us make haste before it's too late. No time to waste. Let us make haste before it's too late. No time to waste. Let us make haste before it's too late. No time to waste. Can still reverse this human curse to save Mother Earth. We can still reverse this human curse to save Mother Earth. We can still reverse this human curse to save Mother Earth. We can still reverse this human curse to save Mother Earth. Let us make haste. Let us make haste before it's too late. No time to waste. Let us make haste. Let us make haste. Let us make haste before it's too late. No time to waste.
Sana namin maiparating ang napakatagal na nahinanling. Saan-saan mo na naririnig. Sa radyo, sa TV, meron bang maling ginawa? Bakit pinabaliwala? Sitwasyon na lalo lang lumalala. Di mo ba naisip ang sumilit? Mas grabe na ngayon ang mga baha. Ang tagulan ay hindi na tagulan. Ang tag-init ay hindi na tag-init. Parang lahat ay nagkapalit-palit. Sa mundo nating painit ang painit. Mga lupa na nilalamon ng dagat dahil sa lahat ng ating ikinalat. Bakit hindi natin subukan ngayon? Hanggang pwede pang maidikit ang lamat ng pagbabago.
Before it's too late. No time to waste. No time to waste. Let us make haste before it's too late. No time to waste. No time to waste. Let us make haste before it's too late. No time to waste. No time to waste.
No time. So, yun yung video. Parang natulog na yung video sa
Hindi.
YouTube. I don't know.
Pero
I don't know kung access na. Yeah.
thank you so much po for sharing that song that even if it was written nung Ondoy pa is still relevant today, very much so. And music has always been used as a tool. Musicians at some of the biggest festivals in the country and in the world have been used as platforms to raise awareness on so many issues. So thank you for doing that with your platform as well. Pero matanong po kayo, Sir Noel, what inspired you or motivated you to compose songs about these issues from the environmental to the social in the first place? Ano po naging inspiration nyo?
The issue is very pressing, no? And I think we really have to do some immediate action. And for us, sa mga musikero, mahirap kami organize. and we're lucky to have these various artists, no? Siguro ngayon mahirap na sila invite. And mabuti na lang, also, of course, that with the help of Dakila, we're really able to bring in all these artists. I think, yun nga, importante kasi yung music. Music is very, if I can continue, art is an expression in a creative man. Right? It's really utilized to help promote a campaign or an advocacy, because art can be very persuasive and maybe it's also inspiring. Issues can be understandable, siguro easier, and can music can also draw discourse and illicit discourse. Sinasabi kanina and discussions ni Pan, like how to save the planet. Parang art can touch the heart of the people. If you can target their if you can target their intellect, or at least their soft spot, their emotions, no?
Absolutely.
Medyo unstable yung ano ko. Music is more accessible, no, and easier to promote and connect to an advocacy. May mga nauna ng mga sinulat dati, like Kapaligiran, which was written in the late 70s by the group called The Scene. Yung kanta na, yung imagine nung dekada 70, naisulat pa yan, no? Yung kanta yan. Pero walang seryosong nakinig at sa paalaala at banta sa kalikasan. Governments were busy building a nation at the expense of the environment. At the turn of the decade, in the 80s, there was Cold War. It was the USSR. They were busy building nuclear energies that created nuclear powers. Nobody was thinking about renewable energies then. Siguro meron, pero hindi siya ganun hindi pinag-uusapan talaga. If there were some, it was left unnoticed. No? But like the Philippines, our sources of energy are coal, fossil fuels, hydro, and geothermal. In the late 80s to the 90s, madalas ang brownout kung napansin nyo. Kaya yung pagpasok ni Ramos, ang kanyang unang in-address was energy. At nagpasukan dito lahat mga power plants, no? Na fossil fuel based and coal. Alam niyo siguro Malampaya, that one in Laguna or Batangas. Yeah. And marami pa. Yung grupo ko nun, yung Buklod, if you know my group before, we were able to release an environmental album sa kandungan ng kalikasan in response to the building of fossil fuel-fired power plants. Maybe our songs made an impact. Maybe just pwede rin pumasok sa isang tenga, lumabas sa kabilang tenga. And wala ring written document that says na kung gaano yung anong impact nito sa mga tao. Maliban sa mga aktivista or yung mga environmentalists. But music has been in the forefront of social actions. It inspired activists in making a deeper commitment and taking further actions. Like those involved in Greenpeace, marami ibang organizations. Hindi ko na siguro patutugtugin yung iba. Art plays a very important role in advocating to save the planet. Katulad din ng visual arts, ng film, ng play, and even the latest pop culture or like social media platforms where you can be creative. Magsayaw sa TikTok. I save the planet. In 2009, I wrote a song about global warming and climate change, born from an experience of snowfall in England at the time. Nandun ako. That was my first time to experience snow. And I gave it to Greenpeace to produce it. And siguro yun na lang yung i-share ko na isa pa because it has may visuals siya. So if you don't mind, I'm going to share it again. Okay lang ba? May time pa ba ako?
Yes, feel free po, Sir Noel.
Sensya na, medyo, naghahanap siya ulit.
Sir Noel, we can see po the screen, but the audio is not connecting po ata. If ever po, our tech team messaged me that they can play the song. So tech, please feel free lang po if you have the window ready. We can share on behalf of Sir Noel yung kanta. Yeah, thank you.
Nagbabago na ang panahon, di na katulad noon. Litong-lito na ang mundo, ang panahon pabago-bago.
Umuulan sa tag-araw, umaaraw sa tag-ulan. Sobrang lamig sa tag-lamig, sobrang init sa tag-init. Ang klima ay nag-iiba, ang daigdig ay uminit na. Kumakapal na ang usok sa papawirin. Hirap na huminga ang daigdig.
Saksihan na natin ang mga buhawi, ipo-ipo.
Labis kong bumuhos ang ulan, labis kong uminit ang araw. Humahaba ang tag-init, umiikli ang tagulan.
Iba-iba, ang daigdig ay umiinit na.
At sa magkabilang polo ng mundo, nagtitibag ng malalaking tipak ng mga yelo.
Oh Diyos ko, katapusan na nga ba ng mundo? Oh Diyos ko, sana kaya magtatago? Oh Diyos ko, maglalaho na nga ba ang mundo? Oh Diyos ko, pigilan ang pag-init ng mundo. Oh Diyos ko. Oh Diyos ko, katapusan na nga ba ng mundo? Oh Diyos ko, sana kaya magtatago? Oh Diyos ko, maglalaho na nga ba ang mundo? Oh Diyos ko, pigilan ang pag-init ng mundo. Oh Diyos ko, katapusan na nga ba ng mundo? Oh Diyos ko, sana kaya magtatago? Oh Diyos ko, maglalaho na nga ba ang mundo? Oh Diyos ko, pigilan ang pag-init ng mundo. Oh Diyos ko.
Pero basta,
Okay, ayan. There, thank you, thank you. So, back
pasensya na.
okay lang po na play po namin. We're really glad to listen to all of your songs that span multiple genres po. And you've been in the industry for decades now, and you've touched on so many
Yeah.
issues as well. I think just a pressing question in my head, despite all of these times when it's been hard to muster hope, musicians still find a way to muster it and to keep creating music. So I suppose my question for you would be how do you keep finding that hope, and how do you keep finding inspiration to continue making music through these years?
Can you hear me?
Yes po. Yes po.
Malinaw ba? Well, it's the, I think it's the commitment to the advocacy, to the cause. And of course, I also have I have a son, and I see children all over the place, and I'm really concerned about their future. Kumbaga, ako kasi medyo may edad na ako so it's really my concern is really more for the future. And kasi ako na-experience ko yung paano maglaro sa paano maligo sa ilog, mga ganyan, paano umakyat ng burol, and umakyat ng mga puno, mga ganun, of which itong mga bata ngayon hindi na nila na-experience yun. And lalo na ngayon, no? So I think that's the thing that really keeps me on getting involved and keep on writing songs on the environment. Um, and ge- um, Making myself available also to like forums like this, so and to share my music, my experience. So that's the thing ko yun.
Thank you, Paul, for putting a spotlight on that. Definitely, it's the it's the future generations that we really need to worry about. But even as we talk today, there are so many kids who are experiencing the brunt of environmental impacts. I remember you saying, I think in another in another interview or another show, na quote unquote, I will always be an artist of conscience. I see the value of music and telling stories about our situation. At naniniwala pa rin ako na I still have that social responsibility. And with what you mentioned po, I mean, sinong hindi nakakaalam nung na ang mga puno't halaman kabiyak ng ating gunita. So, hope it's a classic line. It's hopefully it's a memory we can impart to your kids, to mine, and to all future generations. So we will have an open forum po later on, Sir Noel. But for this segment, I guess to wrap it all up is what I guess what words of wisdom would you have to musicians these days? Sorry, to quote to quote again from a past interview. I'm such a fan kasi. um, you've
Words of wisdom talaga.
you've previously talked about the state of OPM, of course, especially these days. We're breaking boundaries. Music, international music has invaded Filipino culture, and OPM. The question of is OPM dead? Or you said it wasn't. Is OPM dead? Is always a prevalent question. So what advice would you have to give to aspiring musicians today who want to make change with their music?
Well, music's not just for entertainment. It's really a tool or a medium to bring forward our uh, our causes, our advocacies, and we have to, of course, we have to commit, no, in using the talent that was given to us. It's given to us. So and the more na kailangan ngayon ng mga musicians na magko-commit sa, especially with the environment, in promoting the environment, and in, like the title, in saving the planet, no, because it's the future generations um, future is at stake here, no? So kailangan talaga, and I think every generation should be able to produce artists that will continue um, this cause, no, this advocacy. Kaya, well, hindi man siya, it's not really rewarding in terms of monetary reward, but yung soul and being committed is gives you a different, different um, accomplishment, so to speak. So yun, siguro that's my advice to those who are, to the budding musicians, and hindi lang tayo para sumikat, and but of course importante rin kasi yung no, that you also gain certain level of popularity para pakinggan ka ng mga tao, pakinggan yung kanta mo. But of course, syempre, marami namang paraan para pasikatin yung mga kanta. At especially now, sa digital age, no, dami ng mga platforms. But of course, siguro ang isang importante rin is that maybe musicians should really be able to learn how to organize our sector ourselves, to have a more organized action to help in promoting the environment, So, yun siguro. And yeah, marami ang mga musicians kasi mga artists medyo mataas ang ano eh. iba-ibang may dynamics kumbaga sa attitude. But like what we did with Dakila, we were able to pull in all these artists no na may mga pangalan, mga named artists. So ayun, we cannot just also be an artist, but we can also be an organizer of artists, no, musicians. So yeah.
Thank you so much po, Sir Noel, for everything that you've shared today. And of course, thank you for your music. I do hope that you get to stay with us till the end of the show for some closing remarks as well. Now to move on to last but not the least, our next resource speaker, I will turn the audience over to Ms. Padma. So over to you, Ms. Padma.
Thanks, Danny, and thanks, Noel. Nice to see you again, even if it's just in this space. So next in our conversation, we will be speaking with a seasoned theater director and advocate. Hi, Dennis. Throughout your career, you have been working between science and the arts, and I'm really curious to hear about how you do that. But first off, can you tell us about your work on ocean science and applied theater? And for me and for our listeners, what is applied theater?
Wonderful. Thank you, Padma. I have a presentation to answer that question. Is that okay?
Amazing. Yes.
So, salamat po. So magandang hapon po sa inyong lahat. Ako po si Dennis Gupa. My father is a Waray who came from a long lineage of seafarers and fishers. And my mother is Bicolana from Sorsogon, Bicol. I was born in Marabelas, Bataan, and I was raised in Quezon City. I'm a theater director, and my practice of creating performance making is applied theater. I am currently based here in Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada. I work as an assistant professor of theater at the Department of Theater and Film at the University of Winnipeg. Let me acknowledge with deep respect the ancestral lands where I am currently located. Treaty 1 territory, the traditional territory of Anishinaabeg, Cree, Ojibwe, Dakota, and Dene people, and on the homeland of the Métis people or the Métis Nation. I also wish to acknowledge that our water is sourced from Shoal Lake 40 First Nation. Maraming salamat sa imbitasyon, Fert, at sa bumubuo ng The Climate Project Philippines for inviting us here. Salamat din, Danny and Padma, for wonderfully facilitating this event. I am happy to be sharing this panel with my fellow Filipino artists, kay AG, kay Bricx, Martha, and Noel. My heart is filled with joy to be witnessing and listening to all the stories behind the arts that they are creating. Maraming salamat po. I think I won't stop thanking people because, as you know, for me, gratitude sustains our collective work. So my deepest gratitude to the community members of Tubabo Island in Eastern Samar for welcoming me during the time I was developing my dissertation on climate change, applied theater, and the Waray ecological knowledge. Our local elders, Tatay Frank Abuyen and Tatay Duning Abuyen in Barangay San Pedro, who taught me the value of oceanic ways of knowing and stewardship. Later on, I will share to you some of the videos that will demonstrate or illustrate these knowledges. I also wish to thank Sirang Theater Ensemble of Tacloban City and Professor Joey Lianza of Leyte Normal University for educating me about the impact of climate crisis in their lives and how they have reimagined their experiences of Super Typhoon Yolanda into some visions of utopia through theater and Waray culture. I needed to mention these people to underscore the informed collaboration that we forged together and the community building in facing the complexity of climate change in our lives. It is not a concept. It is not even imagined. It is lived. So I will be sharing with you 3 short videos that are emblematic of this collective and communal gesture of resisting the injustice that many small and marginalized communities in our country, as they continue to receive the violence of climate change, and to bring our attention to the agency of our ecology as we begin thinking and framing our works on climate justice. As marine anthropologist Dr. Cynthia Sayas asked me once, ano ba talaga ang naitutulong natin sa kalikasan? Tayo ang dami nating pakinabang sa puno, sa dagat, pero ano ang pakinabang ng tao sa kanila?
My relationship with the ocean is its invitation for stewardship. I think of the ocean as part of my family, part of my kinship. And every time that I think of the Pacific, I think of how I can respond to the call of making it a place where we could respect, we could experience its beauty, but also at the same time understand that it has its own life and it could be powerful. An applied practitioner is an artist who go to the community and collaborate with community to create platforms for them to tell their stories, because a lot of these people that we collaborate have been marginalized by social, political, and environmental circumstances. So we are an artist who allows this collaboration to blossom. My favorite thing about doing theater is its ability to gather people, and in this gathering we have the privilege and the gift to reimagine our future through storytelling and through the energy of creation, to come together and see the possibility of creating songs and stories and dances. And through this work, it's a gift to be able to see the future. In the Philippines, I was able to co-direct an international theater festival and conference where we invited scholars from Canada and the Philippines to come together and to talk with policymakers and fishers and artists. And we were all in one room trying to unpack the impact of climate crisis in local communities. And through this conference, we were also creating performances about the policies and future policies that could probably help our local communities. As an artist in residence at the Ocean Networks Canada, I was given an opportunity to have a dialogue and to listen to this ocean scientist and allow other artistic collaborators to come in so that we can translate this conversation into songs and poetry. I am deeply, deeply grateful for the education that I've been receiving in this unceded territory, in this traditional land. And it is beyond my imagination to have this kind of intellectual and artistic growth. I would like to understand how I can give back and see the power and potential of care and compassion so that we can all come together and have an equalizing, a shared life in this planet.
May I continue? Allow me to focus our attention on ecological stewardship and environmental relationality, or pakikipagkapwa sa ekolohiya. Kapwa din ang dagat. ang isda, ang puno, ang mga hayop. In Buddhism, they are treated as sentient beings. May damdamin sila. We have to cultivate a discourse on human and non-human relationship where the human is no longer located on the apex of power as we move forward into a future free from climate injustice. The second video I like to share is a result of an interdisciplinary collaborative virtual performance created by the artists and ocean scientists from the Philippines and Canada, which was presented at the 2021 United Nations Climate Change Conference, or COP26. as a theater director, I continue to engage research through collective, creative, caring, and critical inquiry, collaborate with local communities as I seek to find a potent aesthetics that will underpin the politics of transformation that we wish to happen and dream about in our lifetime. As a Filipino located in the diaspora, I draw from the language of our heritage to provoke, circulate, and generate discourse on issues around climate change. I have to return to our Asian and Southeast Asian performance traditions to situate our heritage in the global practice of art making and to draw the attention of the world in the violence of climate injustice that is happening in many parts of Asia. Allow me to have the last video to show. Marami pong salamat. Maraming salamat, Padma. Maraming salamat, Danny.
Maraming salamat din, Dennis. It's such an honor to see you moving. Grabe. It makes me miss watching theater and watching performances so much. There's just nothing like it nowadays. But I'm really struck by what you said about kinship and kapwa, and I think it also goes for when we talk about community, right? When we say community, we don't not it doesn't come to us as second nature to say that my community includes the birds, the earthworms, the bats, the dogs, the stray cats, or the trees. So, could you say more about how you think art can help us expand our sense of kinship and kapwa to include, as you said, the non-human, but not only the seen but also the unseen?
Thank you. That's a wonderful, wonderful question, Padma. Art, the DNA of art is imagination. And it has this power of deconstruction. We have inherited so much from this, capitalist society, from the neoliberal society in which we position human-centric, the idea of materiality, money, obsession to material things, getting a lot of things, right? But we don't question, where are these things created from? Hate yan ng capitalism yung tanong na yan. But art can deconstruct that idea of possession by creating new questions, by generating new questions, so that we can elevate our consciousness into something that is more critical. So yun yung power, yun yung kapangyarihan ng sining. Tayo ay inuugnay sa criticality dahil meron siyang kapayapaan na lumikha beyond certain institutions or rules of institutions. Na ano ba yung rule ng mga institutions na marami ngayon? 'Di ba? Bumili ng bumili, mag-acquire ng mag-acquire, na hindi mo na naiisip saan ba ito nanggaling at bakit ito nasa akin ngayon? At ano ngayon ang kapangyarihan ng material na ito na kung saan nanggaling sa isang original space. Diba? We are also disempowering the sources of the material things that we have acquired. And I think that arts can penetrate new questions, generate new questions, so that we can elevate our diwa, our consciousness.
Salamat, Dennis. And napakahalaga ng sinabi mo din, no, which I don't think has come up yet this evening, is about breaking the rules that are imposed on us from outside. And art definitely can do that for us through the processes and through the outcomes as well, is to ask the right questions and know when it's time to break the rules. Ayan, before I start calling for civil disobedience, let's move on. Thank you so much, Dennis, for sharing your work and for those important points you raised on kapwa and extending kapwa and kinship to other species, not just humans. And yes, breaking the rules. That's my favorite. O sige, so Danny, the conversation has been so exciting. We've learned so much. We're so inspired. And sadly, we're running out of time, which is something climate activists say a lot also, right? We're running out of time. But here we are. So we have a lot of comments from our Facebook viewers. Not many questions, so I believe we're going to skip the open forum so that we can ask our closing question to our guests tonight. But before that, Danny, over to you.
Yes, po. So thank you, Miss Padma, and thank you again, Sir Dennis. Just to sorry, so madaldal, but just want to appreciate also everything you showed us in your presentation. And life theater was one of the hardest things to master and to perfect, to display all of that emotion live. It is something I definitely miss as well. And so I think I've quoted nearly all of the resource speakers. I would like to close the conversation with a quote from you. Aside from what you've shared about marine life being the same as us when it comes to migration, very as within so without. You also said scientists spend hours in their labs thinking about their work, similar to what artists do. We're all exploring and searching for meaning, and this kind of interdisciplinary conversation simply lets us be better adjusted to global issues. So hopefully we can all come together, find our nexus, and work towards creating a better reality for everyone, especially now, critical year, critical decade. So before we wrap up, last shout out tayo sa ating mga viewers. Salamat sa panonood and pagstay with us till the end. To Cristel Daniel Menjoro from Albay, Cherry Calapan from Iloilo, Princess May Ramos from Masinloc, Zambales, Jonas Obispo from Lipa, Batangas, Rochelle Remolyo from Dumaguete, Jonathan Yurong from Rizal, Fernie Lim from Masbate, and Maria Galvosa from Davao. All right, so now let me bring you back to Miss Padma for our closing question.
Thank you, Danny. Let's just remember later to come back to the challenge, the Klimatotohanan challenge. We have a winner to announce. But before that, I would like to ask our speakers the last question for the evening, which will ask you to respond to one at a time and in less than 1 minute. Sige, mauuna si AG. I actually have two questions, AG, and you can choose which one you want to reply to. So one question is, how will you urge your fellow artists to use their platform for climate action? And the other one is also for artists, which is, what do you think will enable young artists to become more vocal and active in the climate sphere? So whichever you prefer to answer, you have less than a minute.
All right, salamat po. Parang feeling ko nasa presidential forum ako.
Ganun na nga.
Anyway, parang ganun na nga. May time na, ubos na yung time ko sa kaka-blab. Anyway, I think the way I can urge artists to take part in this solution process is by creating opportunities, especially for the younger artists, yung mga feeling nila hindi pa sila empowered enough to create their own initiatives. And I've been meeting a lot of young artists like that. Although nag-aalab na yung damdamin nila, hindi nila paano sisimulan, paano gamitin yung skills, paano nila ilalahad nga yung mga saloobin nila. So by creating opportunities of yung para magkaroon ng dialogue with community. So hindi naman yung ginagawa namin, sinasama ko yung mga artists from let's say from the city to the outskirts, parang ganun, and vice versa. So creating those opportunities, and yung pag-encourage naman sa mga youth na makilahok is by simply giving them the projected truths na sinasabi ng mga scientists na i-expect natin sa future, sa near future. And it's just by expressing the truth to them na ito yung reality, kayo nga harap ng problema na ginawa ng mga naunang generations, na ginawa ng mga korporasyon sa mundo. Wala na masyadong oras at masyadong choice kundi to step up. Sabi nga, it sounds unfair, but then it's the reality and we have to step up to the plate.
Thank you.
And take charge.
Yes.
Salamat po.
Step up to the plate, take charge, and also there's a responsibility also for organizers to create opportunities and make knowledge widely available. Salamat. Bricx, ikaw naman.
Salamat po.
Hi, Miss Padma. Ayun, thank you ulit for inviting me. For me, syempre, start from ourselves. Tapos, if ever may chance, let's educate people. Yung isang topic mo sa isang kaibigan, maglilink yun at maglilink sa iba't ibang networks. Tapos, syempre, if may time na, go out para makita natin na kung ano talaga ang face nating problems. So, yun lang.
Salamat, Bricx. So also stepping out, no, and starting with ourselves and spreading our links. Martha, what about you? What do you think?
Oh, I'm keeping it short, no? Yeah, really creating, like for someone like me, I can be like a bridge to opening, sharing opportunity, or just giving confidence. Yeah, and the realities, like you can't. It's not about saying, you can be an artist, but you can definitely do something. So it doesn't have to be specifically in the arts. It could be in anything that you feel that you can have an impact in, or that you know. So definitely that for youth.
Great. Thanks, Martha. And your work also showed that us how you moved from being an artist to organizing in the community and even facilitating complicated dialogues. Thanks. Noel, what's your say?
Siguro sa akin, it's creating that connection with the institutions like your organization, and create a platform for performers like me, no? Kasi yun naman yung kailangan namin, eh. Our songs, kailangan mga kanta namin, and sabi ko nga, we're not really organizers, no, ourselves. Kami ay kaladkarin, no, kung saan may pwede kaming makaladkad na mga na forum, or if there's concert, ganyan. And I think for sa mga artists na musikero katulad ko, siguro importante yung sa amin yung pag-aaral din, pag-aaral ng mga issues, kasi we cannot just create based on our imagination na wala rin kaming awareness or data, kahit man sabihin natin, no? So of course, syempre, creative naman kami, pwede kaming gumawa, mag-invento ng mga kanta. Kaya lang, this is something that you create na naggagaling sa puso mo at naiintindihan mo. Kasi nagre-reflect yun dun sa mga likha na kanta. So, siguro, yeah, for a lot of musicians, no, kailangan ng connection sa mga organizations, like para magkaroon ng ma-encourage, matuto, at magkaroon ng platform.
Salamat, Noel. Thank you. We're picking up so many important things, no? So also networking between institutions and the value of organizing people. Dennis, over to you.
Yes, the most recent thing that I've been obtaining in my life is the lesson of memory. I think we have to go back to our heritage. We have to listen. We have to listen and go back to our ancestors, and go back to the land of your parents. Go back to the language of your parents and to the arts of your parents. And I did that when I was doing my dissertation. I was able to go back to my father's homeland. And what I discovered, the rituals, the songs, the meanings of these rituals, they are embedded with ecological knowledge. They are so religious, but they're also deeply connected to the knowledge of ecology. Yung kanilang mga pagtatanghal ay nakakonect sa lupa, nakakonect sa dagat, nakakonect sa puno. So this is important. I think that we have this vanishing culture, but I think in many places, the places of your parents, it is so radically alive. So just go back and learn the language of your parents. And also, I guess, sit down with the nature. They will teach you. You know, when you look and sincerely observe the trees, they will teach you. So yun yung aking gustong sabihin.
Maraming salamat, Dennis, again for drawing us back to our kapwa. Those were very inspiring closing messages, not just for young artists, but also for organizers. So maraming salamat. We learned so much from all of you. And to express our appreciation and gratitude for your time and your thoughts and your energy, we will be gifting each of you with a copy of Harvest Moon, Poems and Stories from the Edge of the Climate Crisis. I hope you enjoy it. And I want to invite you all again to see if you would like to collaborate on whenisnow.org. And that's it. Thank you so, so much. It's been great listening to all of you and seeing your work. Danny?
Yes, Pa. Thanks, Miss Padma. And thank you again to all of our guests for showing us this National Arts Month that Filipino artistry is so radically alive and well. We have so much to be proud of. There's so much work to do. And thank you for showing us as well how to use our skills and talents whatever field they may be in to forward the change that we need to see. So it's been an honor listening to all of you, and we look forward to having you again to, as Ms. Padma said, continue these collaborations and these networks. We would like to thank as well our audience who have been tuning in, and we would also like to announce the winner of our Klimatotohanan Challenge last episode. Our winning entry was from no other than my fellow youth coordinator, Rosel Morales. So congratulations, Ros. And the branch will be coordinating with you for your prize. So to win the prize as well for this Klimatotohanan episode, our challenge for our viewers is this. Share your climate-related artwork on your Facebook or Instagram pages. It could be in any form: visual arts, poems, literary pieces, performances. Just remember to make your posts public and tag our official accounts. So buhayin talaga natin ito National Arts Month. And then after posting, message the Climate Reality Project Philippines Facebook or Instagram account with a link to your post as a final step para ma-validate namin ang inyong entry. We're very excited to see them. We will be picking 3 winners who will receive special prizes. Meron kaming grow kits and maraming sustainable products na ipapamigay, and winners will be announced during the next Klimatotohanan episode, so be sure to
Danny, you're on mute.
Sorry. Also, please do not forget to join our community on all our social media platforms. Let's continue the work together. Follow the Climate Reality Project PH on Instagram. That's at Climate Reality PH. And Twitter, that's at Climate Real PH. You can also visit the socials of our guests, organizations, and partners. Their handles are flashed on the screen. Also, as a final reminder for the certificate of participation for our audience, please do kindly answer the feedback form in the comment section. Over to you, Ms. Padma.
Thanks. Thank you again, everyone. This has been Klimatotohanan, a webcast organized and led by climate reality leaders to tackle the urgent climate issues of today and tomorrow. Why Klimatotohanan? Because we need real talk and real action on the climate crisis. Maraming salamat po at magandang gabi sa ating lahat. Ingat po tayo.
Salamat po.